From missed calls that changed championships to officials caught in conflicts of interest, these are the biggest referee scandals in NFL history and why fans still won't let them go. Number 12, the Fail Mary, 2012. It was Seattle versus Green Bay on Monday Night Football, and the referees on the field were not the regular crew. They were replacements, scrambling to control the fastest sport in America under the brightest lights. For most of the night, the game was sloppy but watchable. Then came the final play. Russell Wilson launched a desperate Hail Mary into the end zone. The kind of throw that could make legends or break seasons. As the ball descended, Green Bay safety M.D. Jennings leapt into the air and secured it cleanly against his chest. The game should have been over. But Golden Tate, fighting like his life depended on it, shoved Jennings and clutched at the ball as they tumbled to the ground. Two referees ran in, each signaling something different. One for an interception, the other for a touchdown. Chaos erupted, and Seattle was awarded the win. And the football world exploded in outrage. Coaches, players, fans, even politicians weighed in. Within days, the NFL had ended the referee lockout, but the damage was permanent. Fail Mary became a symbol of how fragile the league's credibility could be when the stripes failed. But this scandal was nothing in front of the 2006 Super Bowl mistake. Number 11, Super Bowl 40, 2006. The setting was Super Bowl 40, Pittsburgh versus Seattle, and the stakes could not have been higher. For Seattle, it was a chance to win their first Lombardi trophy. For Pittsburgh, it was the storybook send-off for Jerome Bettis in his hometown of Detroit. But instead of the players, the referees became the story. Early in the game, Seahawks receiver Darrell Jackson appeared to catch a clean touchdown. The celebration was short-lived, as a flag was thrown for offensive pass interference. The replay told a different story, but the points came off the board. Later, Ben Roethlisberger lunged toward the goal line in a play that was so close nobody could say for certain if the ball crossed. The referee raised his arms, and the Steelers were handed a touchdown. As the game wore on, a phantom holding call erased a massive Seattle game, choking off what might have been a comeback drive. The Steelers won 21-10, but the victory was overshadowed by controversy. Seattle fans call it the Stolen Bowl. Analysts roasted the officiating, and even neutral fans admitted the game felt tilted. But even this couldn't top the next referee scandal that shocked everyone. Number 10, the Tuck Rule, 2002. It was Oakland versus New England on a snowy night in Foxborough. The kind of game that already felt like NFL folklore before it even ended. The Raiders were ahead late in the fourth quarter, and Tom Brady, still an unproven quarterback, dropped back to pass. He was hit hard. The ball popped out, and Oakland recovered. The Raiders and their fans thought it was over. But then came a pause, a huddle of referees, and a decision that changed football forever. Walt Coleman pulled out an obscure piece of rule book known as the Tuck Rule. If a quarterback's arm was moving forward while trying to pull the ball back to his body, the play was ruled an incomplete pass, not a fumble. By that technicality, the Raiders' recovery was erased, and the Patriots kept the ball. Moments later, Adam Vinatieri drilled a miraculous field goal through the snow to tie the game, and New England went on to win in overtime. The scandal wasn't just about one call, it was about destiny. That night became the launch pad for the Patriots dynasty. The rule was so controversial that the NFL eventually abolished it in 2013, but the damage was already done. For Oakland, it was theft. For New England, it was the birth of an empire. But if the Tuck Rule planted seeds of controversy, the next scandal showed what happens when referees bend the rules so far that an entire stadium turns into a war zone. Number 9, the Bottlegate Incident, 2001. It was Cleveland versus Jacksonville in December 2001. A game with playoff hopes hanging in the balance. With less than a minute left, the Browns faced fourth down and converted on a dramatic catch that kept their drive alive. The stadium roared. But then, in a move that went against league protocol, the referees reviewed the play after another snap had already been run. That wasn't supposed to be allowed. The ruling was overturned, and the Browns were stripped of their chance to win. The fans in Cleveland lost it. Plastic beer bottles, trash, and anything they could grab rained down on the field. Security rushed in. Players ducked, and the referees had to be escorted off under heavy protection. The chaos was so bad that the game was nearly abandoned. Bottlegate became infamous not just because of a bad call, but because it revealed how fragile the referee system was. When the Stripes broke protocol, the trust between fans and the game itself snapped. If chaos in Cleveland proved fans could riot over officiating, the next scandal showed how one referee's simple mistake could live on for decades in Thanksgiving Day lore. Number 8. The coin flip disaster, 1998. It was Detroit versus Pittsburgh on Thanksgiving Day, a game broadcast to millions across the country. As regulation ended in a tie, the referee gathered both teams for the all-important overtime coin toss. Jerome Bettis, the Steelers' powerhouse running back, clearly called tails, but referee Phil Luckert heard heads and awarded possession to the Lions. The moment was caught on live TV, and Bettis exploded in protest. Fans at home could hear the call and knew the mistake, but it didn't matter. The Lions got the ball, marched downfield, and kicked the game-winning field goal. Pittsburgh left the field furious, feeling cheated out of their chance. The scandal forced the NFL to change how coin tosses were conducted, requiring clearer procedures to avoid another embarrassment. But for Steelers fans, it was more than a simple mistake. It was a symbol of how one referee's error could tilt a game and alter history. To this day, the coin toss game still stings. If a bad coin toss could end a game unfairly, the next scandal showed how a single whistle blown too early could rip victory out of a team's hands. Number 7. Ed Hockley's blown call, 2008. It was Denver versus San Diego, week 2 of the 2008 season. Jay Cutler dropped back to pass near the goal line, and as he wound up, the ball slipped free. Chargers defender Tim Dobbins pounced on it. Game over. San Diego win. At least, that's how it should have gone. But veteran referee Ed Hockley had already blown the whistle, ruling the play an incomplete pass. The whistle killed the chance for a fumble recovery. The Broncos got the ball back, scored, and won the game. San Diego's sideline was in disbelief, and their season was haunted by the missed opportunity. The scandal rocked the NFL because Hockley wasn't just any referee. He was one of the league's most respected. Afterward, he even issued a public apology, something referees almost never do. But for Chargers fans, the apology was worthless. The damage was done, and a single whistle became one of the most infamous mistakes in NFL history. If one whistle in San Diego could flip a regular season game, the next scandal showed what happens when referees miss the most obvious penalty in football history, with a Super Bowl trip on the line. Number 6. The Saints versus Rams no call, 2019. It was New Orleans versus Los Angeles in the NFC Championship, and the game was tied late in the fourth quarter. Drew Brees dropped back, spotted Tommy Lee Lewis breaking open, and fired a pass that looked like it would set up the game-winning score. But before the ball even arrived, Rams cornerback Nickel Roby Coleman launched himself into Lewis, helmet to helmet, sending him sprawling to the turf. The entire Superdome gasped. Everyone expected a flag, but nothing came. The Saints were forced to kick a field goal instead of running down the clock. The Rams tied the game, then won it in overtime. What should have been a New Orleans Super Bowl appearance turned into heartbreak. The backlash was immediate and volcanic. Fans sued the NFL. Analysts roasted the officiating. The league admitted the call was blown and even changed the rules to allow pass interference reviews, but it was too late. Saints fans still call it the robbery of the dome, and for good reason. If the Saints were robbed by inaction, the next scandal was the opposite. Referees actively allowing something so outrageous that even the losing coach called it the most unfair act he had ever seen. Number 5. The snowplow game, 1982. It was New England versus Miami on a frozen field, and the game was locked in at a 0-0 stalemate. Snow fell so heavily that players couldn't see, and kickers couldn't get footing on the icy turf. Then, in the fourth quarter, the Patriots lined up for a field goal. Out came a snowplow. In full view of the referees, the plow operator carved out a perfect path of cleared ground for kicker John Smith to plant his foot. Smith drilled the ball straight through the uprights, giving New England a 3-0 lead. The Dolphins never recovered, and the Patriots won. Miami coach Don Shula fumed after the game, calling it the most unfair advantage he had ever seen. The scandal wasn't just about one kick. It was about referees standing by while the integrity of the game was literally bulldozed away. The snowplow game remains one of the strangest referee controversies in NFL history. If snowplows and silence could shape outcomes, the next scandal proved that even the equipment itself, the footballs, could spark outrage when referees failed to notice what was right in their hands. Number 4. Deflategate's officiating shadows. 2015. It was New England versus Indianapolis in the AFC Championship. The Patriots dominated the Colts from start to finish, winning 45-7. But after the game, whispers began. Colts defenders claimed the footballs New England used felt soft, underinflated, below league standards. An absolute storm erupted. While the Patriots and Tom Brady took most of the heat, referees were blasted too. After all, game officials are responsible for checking and handling the footballs throughout play. How could they not notice? The oversight cast a shadow over the entire process, fueling conspiracy theories that the league looked the other way until it became too obvious to ignore. The fallout lasted years. Brady was suspended 4 games, the Patriots were fined, and Deflategate became a permanent stain on their dynasty. But for fans, the scandal was as much about the referees as it was about the Patriots. If the officials had caught it sooner, the controversy might never have exploded. Instead, it became one of the most infamous stories in NFL history. And guess what? The next scandal showed how one razor-thin judgment call could spark decades of arguments about whether history itself was fair. Number 3. The Music City Miracle. 2000. It was Tennessee versus Buffalo in the AFC wildcard game, and the Bills had just kicked what looked like the game-winning field goal. But with seconds left, the Titans had one last kickoff return to try. Lorenzo Neal fielded the ball, handed it to Frank Wycheck, and Wycheck launched a lateral across the field to Kevin Dyson. Dyson caught it in stride and sprinted down the sideline for a 75-yard touchdown. The stadium exploded. But then came the controversy. Was Wycheck's pass actually backward, or was it slightly forward? Replays looked razor close. The referees reviewed it, but in the end, they stood by their ruling. The lateral was legal, the touchdown stood, and the Titans advanced. For Buffalo fans, it was a gut punch. For the NFL, it was one of the most disputed officiating decisions ever. 2 decades later, fans still argue about whether the Music City Miracle was a miracle or a mistake. If one disputed lateral could crush Buffalo's season, the next scandal proved that even the biggest game on earth could be decided by a single penalty flag. Number 2. Super Bowl 57 holding call, 2023. It was Kansas City versus Philadelphia in Super Bowl 57, and the game was tied with less than 2 minutes to play. Patrick Mahomes dropped back, lofted a pass toward Juju Smith-Schuster, and it sailed incomplete. The Eagles' sideline erupted, thinking they'd just earn one last shot to steal the game. But then came the flag. Referees called James Bradbury for holding, a call that gave Kansas City an automatic first down deep in Philadelphia territory. The Chiefs ran down the clock, kicked a winning field goal, and celebrated another championship. The Eagles never touched the ball again. The backlash was immediate. Millions watching at home felt the game had been decided not by Mahomes or Hurts, but by a referee's judgment at the most crucial moment. Even though Bradbury admitted he tugged the jersey, fans argued the call should never have been made at that stage. But the next one is the most infamous scandal of all that proved that referees can sometimes launch dynasties, break hearts, and forever change how fans see the game. Number 1. The Tuck Rule Revisited, 2002. Oakland versus New England, snow swirling in Foxborough. The Raiders thought they'd won. Charles Woodson blitzed. Tom Brady went down, and the ball popped loose. Oakland recovered, ready to kneel out the clock. But the referees gathered, huddled, and invoked an obscure line in the rule book that almost nobody had ever heard of, the Tuck Rule. According to the rule, if a quarterback's arm was moving forward as he tucked the ball, it wasn't a fumble, it was incomplete. Just like that, Brady's turnover was erased. The Patriots kept the ball, Adam Vinatieri nailed a miraculous kick through the snow, and New England went on to win the game and eventually the Super Bowl. For Raiders fans, it was theft. For Patriots fans, it was the beginning of a dynasty. For everyone else, it was proof that referees could literally rewrite history. The tuck rule was abolished in 2013, but the scandal lives on as one of the most infamous moments in NFL history. From the Fail Mary to the tuck rule, these scandals prove referees can change history with a single call. Which one still makes you the angriest? The Saints no call, the coin flip disaster, or Brady's tuck? Drop your answers in the comments and click on our next video for more NFL controversies you never knew about.